Make a date with Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Markwei at 6 a.m. from Monday to Saturday on Graphic Online via Facebook and YouTube as he expounds on matters of faith.
I'd like to capture my thought this morning with the words, environmental hazards of destiny. You'll be very surprised, but sometimes there are some atmospheres or there's some environments, that are hazardous to your destiny. And if you don't get out of that particular environment, you don't get out of that particular situation, it will affect you adversely. Now here's just like you'll be in a place where there's an obnoxious gas or a dangerous gas, a poisonous gas, and which you're breathing in, it will destroy you. In the book of Genesis, still on 30, now something happens over there. Jacob was staying in Laban's house, and in Laban's house, he had given birth to 10 of his children. He had given birth to Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Gad, Dan. He'd given birth to all this, Naphtali, Zebulun. He'd given birth to all these people. But the Bible said the day he gave birth to Joseph, he said, I need to get out of this place. Now, why didn't he want to get out when all those other people were born? When all those, Reuben was the first one. May you get out? Judah, his wife is praising God, so get out. But then he waited until Joseph was born. What's the difference? What's the problem? A prime minister, somebody who's going to walk in courts of power, somebody who's going to walk in corridors of power, somebody who's going to walk in corridors of wealth, somebody who's going to walk in corridors of influence, someone with a kingly anointing upon his life. If you raise somebody like that in a house of servitude, in a house of slavery, in a house where people work and don't get their commensurate compensation, he's going to grow up with a slave mentality. So when Joseph was born, Jacob said, man, I've given birth to something over here. This guy has potential. There's something in this guy's destiny. There's a star shining above this guy. I can't keep him in this place. I need to get out of that place. There are certain environments, if you stay in those environments, that environment will harm your future. There are certain environments, if you stay in it may not even affect you negatively per se, but it affect generations and generations after you. So you know what? Jacob said, I'm raising a prime minister. This is a prime minister. I'm not going to allow this. That's what Jacob said. I've given birth to Joseph. This is going to be a prince of Egypt. This is going to rule Egypt. This is going to be the second in command in Egypt. I can't raise him in a house of slavery and servitude. You'll be very surprised. God pulled Joseph, even when he was in the house of Potiphar, God pulled him out of the house of slavery and into a dungeon. And when he pulled him out of the dungeon, and the purpose of the dungeon was to get him close. The dungeon was in the palace, and the purpose of it was to get him close to the butler who was going to introduce him to Pharaoh. So you know what? There are certain places, if you don't discharge yourself, there are certain environments that will pollute your faith. If you raise your children in faithless environment, you've raised on all sorts of things, you can always tell. There are certain places that you may have been born in, or you were born in those places, but don't let those places get into you. You came from those places, but those places are not in you. Get out of those places. Get your children out. Change your environment. And change the environment in terms of friendships. Change the environment in terms of associations. Change the environment in terms of business associates. Because those kind of environments contain hazardous material that would affect your destiny. Choices are yours. See you later.
Please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.